for two. Kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two. Sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 334 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Of course, we are live every Wednesday night right here on the Going for Two Live Podcast Network on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. And now we're also on Kick.com. It's a new service. Check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Of course, we're also on all major podcast networks. And Jamie, you're in the chat. I know your internet is working just fine. We're running a little bit late, but we have got the show started now. So glad to have you here, as well as Colin, also in the chat before the show even started. Glad to have you here as well, Colin. All right, guys. So tonight, as usual, we're going to be doing our I Hate Division previews. And so first up here, let's meet the panel. Filling in for Ryan once again this week. He's my co-host on the Armchair Daily Fantasy Show during the season. He's also on the Going for Two Live Morning Show. Mr. Gerson Aguirre, you can follow him at FantasyGDFS. What's up, Gerson?
What up? What up? I don't know, man. My back kind of hurt, man, from carrying Ryan these last 2 weeks, man. But I'm here, man. Back-to-back weeks. But thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Glad you can make it on both weeks. Joining us for the first time on the show, he is the editor-in-chief at QBlist.com. He's also a top 10 Fantasy Pros ranker. Mr. Drew DeLuca. You can follow him on Twitter at Drew Delaware. What's up, Drew?
Not much. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And last but not least, Mr. Jerry Wilkie. He's a writer and ranker at Going for Two, and he's the host of the Cover Zero IDP podcast and the Fantasy Assessment right here on Going for Two Live. You can follow him at Jerry Wilkie FM. What's up, Jerry?
What's going on? I'm excited to talk a little bit about the eventual Super Bowl 58 champions today.
All right. So real quick, Drew, give us a quick rundown of what you do in the fantasy space and you know, kind of how you got started and stuff.
Sure. I've always loved to write, and I've always loved fantasy football, so it just became a marriage of those two passions. And I've been writing for years now, and I got an opportunity with QB List a few years back, and I just stepped into the editor-in-chief role. Actually, this week it became official, so I'm transitioning into that role. I'm very excited. We do a lot of great stuff with our What We Saw team, breaking down every game, and then also our sit start. It's a big deal as well, where we obviously run through every game, who we're starting, who we're sitting. So it's a fantastic outlet. We're very excited. We're actually hiring. Just put that out in the space recently. So if you're interested in creating some content, give us a shout. We're on Twitter at the QBlist, THEQBLIST.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Jerry, I know you're on this network a little bit, but go ahead and give my listeners a quick rundown of what you do in the fantasy space.
Yeah, just on Saturdays you can find me on the IDP show, and just we just talk IDP. We talk during the off season. We're going over the fantasy assessment. If you want to submit your teams, we can go over your team, see what kind of stuff that you could need, trades, and how to get your team better, whether it's for redraft or dynasty, similar to the PLPs, but we just kind of break down your single one team for you.
Good stuff. And you mentioned the Super Bowl champs this year. Colin's talking about, are you talking about the Dallas Cowboys?
They can't even get past the second round.
Got an Eagle in here as well, and Jerry's a Bills fan. Gerson, we won't mention your team. Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. I've heard them all, man. I heard them all.
All right, real quick, guys. Today's show, as always, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their industry-leading best ball leagues with huge tournaments, private leagues, and pick'ems, which we will do tonight on the show. They have them for every major sport. Use our promo code GF2 and get a deposit match up to $100. As simple as that. Use promo code GF2 and start drafting your best ball teams and get those pick'ems in too. They've already got NFL season-long pick'ems, which we'll do a couple tonight to show you how easy it is. As I mentioned at the top, we got our last episode of the I Hate division previews. We're doing the AFC and the NFC East divisions. So we'll go through both divisions and do a mock draft of each one. But to kick the show off, as always,
attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
So I've mentioned this a couple of times because we don't have time to get to the Forgotten Fantasy Player at the end of the show like we normally do. We combine the nonsense draft and the Forgotten Fantasy Player into a mock draft, and we will mock draft players from these two divisions that are currently retired that we would love to bring back in their prime and have them on our fantasy squads. And Drew, you got the 101 here. So who are you going with in these two divisions?
This is a tough one. I know who I probably should take, but I'm going to take Randy Moss, the New England Patriots, that banner year. I think he's. I can't remember a more incredible season by a wide receiver than what he had there in New England. So
yeah, absolutely, that's a great pick, and Randy Moss would have been my 101 as well because that season 22 touchdowns was pretty impressive. All right, Jerry, you got the 102.
Well, just like most of 2023 drafts is starting off, wide receiver. We're doing that as well. I'm going with Terrell Owens, played for the Bills, Eagles, and the Cowboys. We got loaded. Just both these divisions are loaded with talent throughout the 60s, 70s, 90s. And but he's one of my favorite wide receivers. For the Eagles, he was just awesome from 2004 to 2009. And he had a little down year when he was with my Bills, but he still. He was an exciting player. The fans loved him. 8-time double-digit touchdown score, over 15,000 receiving yards. Just one of the best to ever do it.
I love it. That's a great 1-2 punch right there. Y'all took both the guys. I was hoping one of them would fall to me at the third spot, but you took all of them. So I will switch it up here. I will break up the mold, and I will go with the running back position. The guy who's NFL leader in rushing yards all time, Mr. Emmitt Smith. Had some great years with the Cowboys there. He carried that Cowboys team. I know we talk about Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin, but if you look at their stats, it was Emmitt Smith carrying those teams. And he's an easy pick here for me at 103. Gerson, you got the 104.
You guys made it so easy for you guys, and then I get like the wild card. Like I gotta break the tier. So I'm gonna get a little crazy with that. But I'm gonna take Rob Gronkowski. I think the leverage you get on him, even in a non-super flex, I think you have a positional advantage. So I'm just gonna go Rob. He was great in his days where he got multiple touchdowns, so many receptions. The guy was a monster.
Yeah, he's definitely a beast, and he was in the running for sure because, like you mentioned, the positional scarcity with tight end. You have a good tight end like that. He was basically a receiver playing tight end during fantasy years. He was a beast, gave you a huge advantage. All right, Drew, back to you with the 105 here.
Okay, well, that was going to be my next pick. That was well done. Gronk, there's a huge tier break between Gronk and everyone else.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I'm going to go with Thurman Thomas, Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome choice there. He was one of the original guys that caught passes and was able to run the ball as well. He was a do-it-all kind of guy. I love it. Jerry, did he snipe you? Did you want Thurman Thomas as the Bills fan here?
No, actually, I got an older Bills running back. I'm going O.J. Simpson.
Oh, okay.
Between his 5 year, well, he played for more than 5 years, but he had a 5 year span where he accumulated 7,700 yards, 2,000 yards in one of those seasons. That was a 14-game season. Led the league in rushing in 4 of those 5 touchdowns in 2 of those seasons. Yeah, his off the field stuff, we won't talk about that, but his on the field stuff was elite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what a killer pick.
Yeah, great choice there because he wasn't on my list. Not that I forgot about O.J. Simpson. I just didn't even think about him. Great pull there for sure from the Bills fan. All right, so I'm up here at my last pick at the 107, and I'm gonna go with an old guy as well. And because I live here in the Washington, D.C. area, I actually had to go look his stats up. Jerry did it before the show for me to tell me exactly how good this guy actually was, because he's a hero here in the Washington, D.C. area. Mr. John Riggins. I believe, Jerry, you said he had a season where he had 26 touchdowns, 25 touchdowns, something like that.
24, 26, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. I mean, he was a beast. He's still, I think, the team's all-time leading rusher. He has, of course, that iconic run against the Miami Dolphins, where he basically breaks off a 4th and short, takes it to the house for a touchdown. So I'll take Riggo here at the 107. Gerson, close us out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the boring guy. I guess nobody wants him, but Curtis Martin, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked that nobody said him yet, but I mean, the guy was like one of the best runners. He was like a mini Marshall Faulk. He caught ball and he ran the ball very well. I mean, I used to love watching him play. He got old very quick, but like he produced like no other. He was so consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was always underrated, even like during his heyday.
Yeah.
He was always the guy you can get a little bit later than everybody else because he wasn't sexy. He wasn't the sexy pick. He was just a solid, producer week in and week out. Great pull there. There's a couple of guys we didn't mention. I'll just mention as some quick honorable mentions. I considered Randall Cunningham, being the running quarterback, one of the original running quarterbacks. He was on my list. Tony Dorsett was also another guy that was sort of an older guy that I looked at. Brian Westbrook for the Eagles was another one that I looked at. Did y'all have any honorable mentions that we didn't talk about yet?
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You didn't mention it.
Matt Brady, Jim Kelly, and Dan Marino for quarterbacks as well.
Absolutely.
So, yep.
Jerry, you got any mentions you want to throw in there real quick?
Yeah, let's throw one in for the IDP players. Well, we could throw two of them in, but Bruce Smith and Reggie White, both for the Bills and the Eagles, 200 or almost 400 sacks between the two of them. Just if you played IDP back in the day and you got one of those guys, you probably were really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll say Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, LT.
That's
sure.
the easiest one.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah, that's a great pull. I mean, if you want to go D-back, of course, Revis, if you want to go defensive back for the Jets. Brian Dawkins for the Eagles. There's a lot of great ones there. But yeah, another deep pool I'll give you would be Harold Carmichael, Hall of Fame receiver for the Eagles, 6'8". So there's a lot of smallish defensive backs in the league, speeds, kills these days. But man, he would body these D backs at 6'8". He was a man among boys when he played.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to go ahead and jump into the AFC East draft. The way we're going to do this is going to be a 2-round draft. We'll be doing super flex for these drafts. And, of course, we can only draft players from the AFC East. Let me go ahead and hit the drop.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
And, Jerry, as the Bills fan here, you get the 101, sir.
Well, being that it's super flex, and honestly, if it wasn't super flex, if it was single quarterback, I'd probably still go him. But there's a easy 101 here. It's Josh Allen. It's the best quarterback in the division. Super flex. You really can't go wrong with that pick.
Yeah, I mean, he's arguably the best quarterback fantasy-wise in the NFL. You can say him or Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts, but he's in that conversation for sure. So, yeah, that's the easiest pick of the night right there. Drew, you got the 102. Yeah,
this is where it gets tough. I got a couple guys I'd like to take here, but since it is super flex, I'll go with the second quarterback on the board. For me, that's Tua. We all worry about the concussions and whether or not he can stay healthy for a full 17. But man, when he's playing, his metrics are electric, and he's just got such a great supporting cast. And he's as long as he can stay upright, he's going to be a beast.
Yeah, I'm all in on Tua this year. I've actually come out and said as long as he can stay healthy, he'll be in the conversation for MVP this year. I think he can definitely be in that conversation with the offense he has around him. Caveat, of course, is he must stay healthy. All right, so I'm on the board here, and that's 103. There's not really a quarterback. I mean, Aaron Rodgers maybe, but I'm going to go with the running back position here. I'm going to take Mr. Breece Hall. I think he'll be fine. I think I read a news blurb that said he ran a straight line of 23 miles per hour in practice. That doesn't sound like a guy that's going to be hurt. I think he's going to be fine once the season starts. And if he misses a couple games in the beginning of the season, that's fine too. But I'll take Breece Hall here as the clear running back in this division. Gerson, you got the 104.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go wide receiver here. I'm going to go Garrett Wilson. I think the guy's primed for a breakout year this year. I mean, he had a great rookie season, and that was with the Mormon boy, Zach Wilson. And then, I mean, the fact of going to a Hall of Fame quarterback, whether he not as good as he used to be, but I believe he was just hurt last year. It doesn't matter. Hurt Aaron Rodgers is 10 times better than a Zach Wilson, and I think he's gonna get peppered with target. No Elijah Moore there. I mean, everything's open for him, and I have actually moved Garrett Wilson up to number 4 in dynasty ranking in wide receivers. So I'm really high on Garrett Wilson this year. So I'm drafting him everywhere or trading for him. But I definitely love Garrett Wilson.
Good stuff. And Carlin in chat says Brees over the receivers. And yes, I think I would take Brees over the receivers because the fall off from Brees, I guess Ramondre's in the mix too, but it gets pretty ugly pretty quickly. Whereas the receivers, you still got Diggs and a few of the guys there that I like. So I do like Brees over the receivers. Jerry, going back to you here at the 105.
I was actually kind of hoping for Garrett Wilson. I really don't want to be 100% homer here, so I'm not going to go with the one guy. I'm going to go Tyreek Hill. He says he wants to hit 2,000. I think with a healthy Tua, he can. I hope he doesn't because we've got to play him against him twice. But I think he could hit 1,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, and yeah. I mean, I don't got the stack, but I'll definitely take Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, somehow I don't have Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle on the sheet there. I must have skipped over the Dolphins for some reason. But yeah, good call, Tyreek Hill for sure. He wants to get that 2K mark, and if he can do it, I mean, he definitely could have done it last year. If Tua probably hadn't gotten hurt, he probably could have gotten it. All right, Drew, we're back to you here at the 106.
All right, well, I was going to pick somebody else, but since you messed up my stack, I'm going to mess up yours, and I'm going to take your Stephon Diggs. I think he's going to have a heck of a year. I think he's primed for a major season. He's going to have plenty of targets. He's going to wear that whole diva crown, I think. That whole kind of self-imposed, I guess, chip on his shoulder, if you will, in a way. But that's whatever motivates you. And I think he's going to be, out for blood this year. I can see him having a wide receiver 1 type season this year without a doubt. So I'll be happy to take him here.
Absolutely. And the chat is killing me because I took Brees Hall over the receivers, but this is why I did it. Because I'm up at the 107 and I get to settle for Jalen Waddle here at this pick.
You hit him. You hit him first off. Nobody. No, I'm just kidding, Jeff. We should know. We're prepared. We're good.
Yeah. Yep. So I'll take Jalen Waddle here to pair with Brees Hall, and obviously we know that offense should be explosive. It was last year when they were all three healthy with Tua. Waddle is sort of the Robin to Tyreek Hill's Batman. Waddle had the touchdowns last year where Tyreek didn't, but Tyreek had more of the yards. But those two, I think, they both finished as top 10 receivers last year. They probably can do it again this year. So give me Jalen Waddle here. All right, Gerson, you got the 108.
Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest tier drop off ever, I think. But I'm going to go my boy Ramondre Stevenson, man. I'm so high on Ramondre this year. There's 3 running backs I'm really high on. I'm doing a deal running back strategy, for the first 3 rounds, and then hopefully Ramondre, Chubb, or Dalvin Cook in the later round. Those are the 3 guys I'm targeting, but hopefully Dalvin Cook doesn't kill my hope for Ramondre,
Yeah,
give me Ramondre Stevenson, man.
Yeah.
Or Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, any of those guys could come in there and take some touches away from Ramondre Stevenson. But yeah, as of right now, he's got no competition. I mean, he's basically got the backfield to himself, so he's going to get a huge amount of volume for sure. All right, Jerry, you were up here. It is your last pick here in the first round. What you got?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely tilting because I wanted Ramondre too. I'll take a stack then. I'll go Gabe Davis. I think he has a bounce back year. And actually, you didn't have a bad year last year. You just had a bad year based on ADP standards. So I'm going to take Gabe Davis. Get my little stack there with Josh Allen.
Yep, I like the pick. Gabe Davis is sort of a post-hype sleeper where everybody's kind of the pendulum swung too far the other direction. Last year we were way up here and he finished here. Now we're way down here. If he finishes here again, then we got a good value on him. So I like Gabe Davis there. All right, Drew, you got the 110.
All right. Well, since this is super flex, I might dip into that second quarterback bag right here. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers. We talked about how we're expecting big things from Garrett Wilson. You're not alone, Garson. I'm also very high on him as well. and for all the reasons that you stated. So I think Rodgers, to me, is a value pick, as the best left on the board really at any position at this point.
Yeah, you definitely sniped me on that one. I was hoping to get that quarterback with my next pick here at the 111. Now that I don't have a quarterback, I'm going to just punt the position completely, and I'm going to take. Actually, you know what? There's not a whole lot left on the board that I really like, so let me go with that last quarterback. I'll take Mac Jones here. I need a quarterback, and Mac Jones is not the greatest, sexiest quarterback in the world, but at this point, there's not much left on the board to take. So give me Mac Jones. Gerson, you get the back-to-back here. You got the 112 and the 201.
But to be honest here, in a super flex league, and if it was tight end premium, I'd be taking Dom Kincaid right here. But it's not tight end premium because it's not on the sheet. But no, I think I'm just gonna go with James Cook. I'm looking for upside now. He did great last year, and when he got the usage, the guy. When he got 18 touches or more, he averaged 15 points per game more. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for usage. We're looking for volume. And when that gets to volume, yeah, I am a little worried about Damien Harris because I think Damien Harris is not a bad running back. I think he's actually better than what people make him out to be. But at the same time, I think the offense needs to change. They went out and drafted Dom Kincaid. They wanted to get more weapons. I think they're going to use James Cook to the best of their ability. And we saw it last year. Bills didn't look all that great. There was a lot of question marks all over that offense. I mean, I know Brian Daboll was a great coach, but it ain't that big of a difference. You still have a system there. But I think Josh Allen being healthy and everything, James Cook, second year in, maybe learn the system a little more. I like it. I'm going to James Cook there.
I like it too. He got the passing, receiving ability as well, upside. So I like that. All right, you got the 201 as well, Gerson.
201. Yeah, this is tough. I didn't really think about having back-to-back picks. I'm gonna go Devin Achane, man. I think I want to go Devin Achane. More for the upside. I think right now that backfield, Miami Dolphins, it can be anybody's backfield, But I really honestly think it's Achane backfield until when he proves he's right. This pick. You're just investing in it, You're hoping to get some return of investment on it. And Asian, I mean, the guy with a phenomenal speed. He is undersized, but I'm not too worried about that because if you really go look at all the running backs in the Shanahan system, they're not big running backs. The biggest running back was probably Frank Gore, or Frank Gore didn't even play for them, right? It was probably CMC. CMC probably weighed 210 pounds, 205 pounds. So
I think Jeff Wilson was pretty big. He's not big, but he's probably a bigger guy than some of the other ones.
Oh no, he's bigger than H. Everybody's bigger than Achane, but that's the thing. Hey, you're in the NFL. They're gonna tell you, hey, bud, you know what? You're not at Texas A&M no more. You're in the NFL. We're gonna put some weight on you, bud.
Yeah, and I think the offensive coordinator, I guess the coach is really the offensive coordinator, but he'll find a way to get him in space, and that's what they really need to do. If they try to run like a running back, it might end badly for him, but they'll find a way to get him on screens, get him on the outside, find ways to use him and his speed.
Dude, that head coach, for the Dolphins, he bites his pen like he's gonna eat it. It's so crazy. I'm like, dude, you have a problem, bro.
Dave's on the sideline too.
All right,
Yeah,
so I am back up at the 202, and I guess I will dip into the tight ends, and I will take Dalton Kincaid. I think he essentially is going to be the Bills' slot receiver. I think they'll have Knox in line. They'll put Dalton Kincaid out in the slot a lot, and I think receiving wise, I think he can have a decent rookie season for a tight end. I know we don't expect much from them, but I think Kincaid, if he's playing outside, can definitely do some damage there. So
I think the industry is expecting a lot from him, though. His ADP is crazy, man. I think in Dynasty right now, he's getting up to number 7.
Yep,
that's insane for a rookie tight end, man.
Agreed. That is a little bit too rich for my blood. All right, Drew, you got the 203 here.
All right, so I am going to go ahead and take that Damian Harris we were talking about earlier. I think he's a great pick at this point. I think another value pick. We talked before when we talked about James Cook. I like his efficiency metrics were outstanding, but Harris is between the tackles grinder. I think after watching Josh Allen suffer the shoulder injury, I think the Bills are getting a little gun shy about letting Allen take too many crushing hits inside. I think that's a signal. I think another signal that Damian Harris is going to play a pretty large role was the fact that they brought in was it Connor McGovern, I believe it is, at the guard position. They drafted Osiris Torrance, who's just a massive human being in the middle, a road grader, if you will. So those are just clear signals that when we're upgrading the interior offensive line like that, it shows me that they're really trying to improve their short yardage efficiency, especially goal line efficiency. I don't think Josh Allen's going to have quite as many rushing touchdowns this year. I think Damian Harris is in for a pretty big spike. So it's a dangerous game to project touchdown volume, but I do like Damian Harris's chances of finishing with at least double-digit touchdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we forgot about Damian Harris. He was good a couple years ago, and last year he got injured and we forgot about him. But I think he still has a lot left in the tank, and he's going to be good in that offense for sure. All right, Jerry, you get the 204.
I'm going to go. I'll take Jeff Wilson. I'm going to try to hope for Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill to be involved in a lot of defensive pass interferences down at the goal line, and Jeff Wilson just slam him into the end zone. Just a whole bunch of touchdowns, kind of like LeGarrette Blount back in the day with the Patriots.
Yeah, Jeff Wilson is that guy. As a Niners fan, there was plenty of times where he would just, get down to the 1 yard line and he'd plunge it in. There was a game, I think he had 3 touchdowns, and they were all 1 yard touchdowns. Jeff Wilson is that guy for sure. All right, Gerson, you get the 205 here.
It's slim picking now, aren't we?
Yeah, it gets ugly now.
I'm just gonna do this, and I don't even feel comfortable about it. But I'm gonna go Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, the guy got paid, right? It's funny because he got paid the same amount for a wide receiver that left town. That was a better wide receiver. I'm like, really? Like, why didn't you guys just pay the better wide receiver, Jacoby Myers? I'm not bitching about it because he came to the Raiders. I like Jacoby Myers, but Juju Smith-Schuster basically going to be the number one wide receiver there for the Patriots. It's not an impressive system to be the number one wide receiver. I'll tell you that much because I don't believe in Mac Jones. But that kind of sucks. I'm trying to hype up this pick, but I can't. But that's the best. That's the best you got on the board, man. I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah, at this point, it's pretty brutal. It usually gets pretty bad around this point. And so I'm up next, and you kind of sniped me there because he was the last guy that I really was confident that I would be taking. Because the chat's kind of blown up about the 2 tight ends in New England, and honestly, I think they kind of vulture each other, and neither one of them ends up being very good.
I do like Gesicki. I think Gesicki, he wasn't utilized in the Miami system at all for obvious reason. I don't know. Usually Shanahan's system uses tight end pretty well, but he didn't like him. But Gesicki, I've heard a lot of good beat writers say good things about him in camp. They're going to utilize him. They're going to use the double tight end set. But I think Gesicki, if you can get him, I'm talking dynasty though. I'm not talking like basketball. Don't be drafting him in basketball like dynasty in those late rounds.
Yeah,
I'm on that, dude. I'm on that boat.
Yeah. Well, you just convinced me. I was going to go a different route, but you know what? I'll take Gesicki here. He does have the highest upside. We've seen at least one really good season out of him, and if he can be used in the red zone especially, if he can get 7-8 touchdowns and catch for 50 yards a game, that's a tight end 1 right there. That's all you need in the NFL. So I'll take Gesicki here at the 106. Drew, you got the 107.
All right, well, you just sniped me there. I was going to take him. I was trying to get him to shut up about Gesicki there, but he kept going. So I was like,
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, that was good, man. That was good, though. So this is a tough one because I can go a couple of different directions with this one. But I'm going to go with the gross stack here. I'm going to take Tyler Conklin. He's an ugly pick, kind of like how you had with Juju, but he's this guy that quietly produces. He had a pretty solid year last year under the radar, and that's kind of what you're looking for when you get to these the soft underbelly of the draft, if you will, where you're just kind of looking for something shiny. It's a value pick. He's gonna give you some solid production at a pretty skinny position. So.
Yeah, when you get the nickname Gronklin, you did some good things at that point. So I like it. All right, Jerry, this is your second to last pick in this draft here. Who you got?
I'll take a guy that has a little bit of chemistry with Aaron Rodgers and go Allen Lazard. Big playability. Specifically brought him in. Garrett Wilson should hopefully take away a lot of the number one CBs. So Alan Lazard could get some openings there. Not excited about it, but it's. I mean, we've seen him hook up a couple times in Green Bay, so maybe they could do it in New York too.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point in the draft, you're just looking for anything because there's some pretty ugly picks left on the board. Gersten, this is your last pick in this mock. What you got?
Man, I was hoping it was over, man. Well, I guess I can't do that. I can't take him. I'm not going to take 2 Patriots wide receivers. Who am I? I'm going to go Khalil Shakur.
Bastard. That was my guy.
Yeah, I'm going to go Khalil Shakur. I mean, the guy got drafted last year, and everybody forgot about him all of a sudden, you know. But Gabriel Davis was hurt last year, and like I said, I think this offense is trying to find their rhythm again. And if they find their rhythm, I'm pretty sure they're going to pass the ball a hell of a lot more compared to what they did last year. I mean, last year, it was a lost year for them. The Bills failed, and they saw that in the playoff. They saw that during the season. Stephon Diggs wanted to leave town, basically. He didn't say it, but it's out there, like all the arguments and everything. Khalil Shakir, second year in, it's a gamble, you know. I liked him as a prospect when he was coming out. I would draft him in the 3rd round in every draft, but in dynasty drafts, guys, that's not in the 3rd round in like a startup, or best ball, or okay, calm down. I'm not drafting a little short wide receiver, no. But yeah, I like Khalil Shakir for sure.
I took him in Scott Fishbowl super late because I think he can, if he gets the position in the slot. You know, we've seen guys like Cole Beasley be, effective in that offense, catching a ton of passes over the middle. So if he can kind of fill that Cole Beasley role, I know the offense has changed since Cole Beasley was there, but at least Allen looks in the middle of the field. If Shakir can get that role, I think he can do that pretty well. So that was why I was going to take him. Unfortunately, Gersten sniped me, so now I got to pivot. And I'll go with another Bills receiver here. I'll take Justin Shorter. I've heard a little bit of hype over him. I don't know what he'll be able to do in that offense. He's kind of behind a bunch of guys that are really good. He'll probably need some injuries to sort of show out, but I've heard some good stuff about him in camp. He's really showing up pretty well. He wasn't particularly fast. 4.55 wasn't super fast, but he does have that ability to. I think he's one of the tall receivers too. I think he's one of the tall guys there. So they don't have a ton of those tall guys in that offense. So his name is Shorter, but I think he's taller. So I'll take Justin Shorter.
Well, dude, like right now in this whole draft, there got to be like, you ever seen the Will Smith meme? Like, why don't nobody want me? Devontae Parker is that player for sure. Devontae Parker is that player. Why don't nobody want me?
Absolutely. All right, Drew. Last pick here.
Well, I was actually gonna take Devontae Parker, but I think I'm gonna let him sit there. And I'm gonna play this game a little longer because he's just want to let him sit there. And there's a guy here that I want to talk a little bit about. Speaking of rookies who we think who'd really do something, and that's Israel Anaconda for me from the New York Jets. So I mean, not to besmirch our 103 in this draft, Breece Hall, but he is coming off of a major knee injury suffered in the middle of the season. So I mean, one of a couple of things is a likely outcome, and that is he's not ready for week 1 or 2, maybe even 3, or he is ready, but he's nowhere near 100%.
Jacob Dobbins situation, right?
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, exactly. And then I think in a best case where even he is healthy, they're going to manage his load, so he doesn't have any kind of injury. What do we call those? Compensation injuries, things that happen a lot of times. People coming back from major injuries, hamstrings, all kinds of other stuff. So load management, I think, kind of protects him in a lot of ways. Also making sure that he doesn't aggravate the injury. So I think Anaconda is a home run pick. Home run swing on a take at this point. Michael Carter was very unimpressive last year. I mean, I know the offense is going to be a lot more efficient this year under Aaron Rodgers, but he's had his chances and he just didn't really kind of shine, unfortunately. So, and Anaconda, his metrics are fantastic. He's strong. He's fast. He can move. I just think he could potentially do some things. So that's my pick right here. I'm going to move it on to Jared.
Good stuff. I like it. And, worst case scenario, he's got a cool name, right? I mean,
yeah, that's right.
There's no fancy points for that, but hey, Izzy Anaconda is a good name.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff.
Go ahead, Gersten.
All right. I'm going to say it right now. And I love the call, but I'm going to say it right now. For the first time, I'm going to call my stick call of the week in advance. And when it happens, we're gonna play the Anaconda song, okay?
Right.
On the show, either Anaconda. Like when it happens, hopefully it doesn't because I have Brees Hall, but he's gonna be my sick call of the week.
Yeah, so if those that don't know, on our DFS show on Friday, we do a sick call of the week every week where we pick some random guy that's going to hopefully have that, that long 80-yard touchdown. So Gerson's calling his shot earlier this year. He's got Izzy Abanikanda at some point this season as a sick call. I love it.
I love it. Yep.
Jerry, close us out here. What do you got for your last pick in the AFC East draft?
Hopefully that Izzy Abanikanda isn't week one because they play the Bills. But I'm taking a AFC East journeyman here on his third team in the AFC East. I'm going to leave Devontae Parker off of here. I'm going to take Braxton Berrios. Hope for some kick return and punt return yardage. Third wide receiver out there in Miami. They signed Cedric Wilson last year to a deal. He kind of was disappointing. Berrios should be on the field for at least special teams. Maybe get a little bit of opening up with Waddle and Hill taking away some coverage there. So Braxton Berrios for me.
Good call. He wasn't even on the show sheet, man. You dug deep for that one. I love it. Good stuff. All right, guys, got some bad news. Going for Two's personal podcasts have sold out for the 2023 season. However, if you order yours right now for 2024, you can save up to 20%. So what is the Personal League podcast, you ask? It is a 1-hour live show dedicated to your league. We rank the teams from worst to first. We break down each one, giving you trade advice, pointing out your strengths, your weaknesses. We even give you draft day advice if you're doing it before the NFL draft. Visit goingfor2.com/PLP. Use promo code EARLYBIRD24 and save 20%. Again, the promo code is EARLYBIRD24. And for less than $7 a person in the 12-man league, you can get your league done. Again, it's goingfor2.com/PLP. Use promo code EARLYBIRD24. And if you want to see how they look, we just did one this past Sunday. We got one coming up on this Sunday. We got about 6 of them to do in August. So you'll see a bunch of them out there. It's really cool. Everyone that's done one has loved it. Actually, the guy that we just did last Sunday bought 3 for next year already. He already booked it for June and July for next year. So they sell out fast. So if you don't have yours yet, go do it. Right now is the best time to get one. All right, so let's get into our pick'ems of the week.
Prop bet of the week.
All right, I got to change that drop because Underdog does not like the word prop bet, but we'll get to that at some point before the season starts. All right, so we're going to do some Underdog bets here for this division. Let me go ahead and bring up the sheet here. So we got 3 different. I don't know what they want me to call it. They want me to call it props. I don't know what to say. They're props basically. So we got three props here that we're going to pick that are from these 2 divisions, and I'll go to the 3 of y'all, and then we'll decide which one we're going to do, and I will put $5 on this bet for the season. And the first one we got here is Mr. Dak Prescott, higher or lower 26.5 touchdowns. Gerson, we'll go to you first. What do you think of this bet here? You going higher or lower at 26.5 for Mr. Dak Prescott?
Oh man, 26.
That's a really.
I'm gonna say. See, I'm gonna say higher. I think that in the offensive game we play now, it's not too hard to get 26.5 touchdowns if you have an elite team, which he has a great weapon. They upgraded with Brandon Cook. They have CD Lamb, elite superstar, and their tight end system. I don't think it matters who the tight end there. I like Dalton Schultz, of course, but I mean just plug him in,
Yeah, I like it. We'll go to you next, Drew. What do you got here for Dak Prescott, higher or lower?
Well, it's not just because of the hat, but I'm going to go on. I got the Eagles hat here, but not just because of that. I'm actually going to go under. He led the league in interceptions last year. I do love CD Lamb. I think he's a phenomenal player. I love his game anyway. I don't know, as an Eagles fan, I really care for, but frankly, I heard on the radio today, listening to some Sirius XM, it was over 70% of the player prop bets or pick'ems, whatever you want to call them today, the unders hit on them. So, and that's kind of consistent with 2021 was like 66%. So, when I'm on the fence in these situations, I think the under is the smart bet. he misses a couple of games, they're right there. That torpedoes the bet right there. And frankly, he's a guy who's not as mobile as he used to be. I think part of the reason why he may not be as effective anymore, and this is just pure, conjecture on my part, but he was a player when he was at his peak, most effective. He was moving around the pocket. He was getting outside the pocket, making plays with his feet, and that ability to kind of create based on being mobile, I think really helped open things up for him as well. And I don't think that he has the same threat to make plays with his feet that he used to, unfortunately, ever since that injury. So all those reasons, I'm going to go under at this point. So
I like it. That's a good breakdown there for sure. Jerry, you going to be the tiebreaker here, over, under, or higher or lower? Sorry, Underdog's really specific about the language I must use. So higher or lower on Dak Prescott?
I'm going higher. Brian Schottenheimer, or Kellen Moore to Brian Schottenheimer, doesn't really scare me. If you look at his seasons, the first 3 years in the league for Dak, he went under with 22, but he was also rushing a lot more, 6 touchdowns in each season. And then the next 4, injured in 2 of them. But he hit on the 2 that he wasn't hurt, and then he was on pace in the other 2. He would have cleared it last year. He had 22 or 23 last year, and then the year that he got hurt after 5 games, he was on pace for 28 touchdowns that year too. So, and even if they say, or if you're hearing all the stuff that they want to run more, they really haven't proven it. Gerson already addressed it. They brought in Cooks. Gallup is a whole season removed from his ACL. Injury. They drafted a tight end early, and they really didn't bring. And they lost Zeke, and they really didn't bring anybody else to kind of be that 1-2 punch with Pollard. And then we got Pollard on here, so go into him a little bit more when we go to him. But I don't see them being as run heavy as what they talk about, and I think that they got a chance to hit 3 1,000-yard receivers.
All right, I like it. So 2 going higher. So we will go higher on Dak. This next one here is Mr. Ramondre Stevenson, and it's a higher or lower 925.5 rushing yards. And we'll go to you first this time, Drew. I know Gerson's going to be probably higher in this one. He's already talked about how much he loves Ramondre, but I'm curious to your thoughts here. Higher or lower 925.5?
Well, I just told you a minute ago that whenever I'm in doubt, I'm going to take the under. I am not in doubt here, and I'm 100% with Gerson on this one. So I have Ramondre at last check. I had him as my running back 6, which is higher than consensus. I really like him a lot. I think even if they bring in somebody, unless it's Dalvin Cook, I still think he crushes this. I think Fournette would be more of a third down role. I think Ramondre, I think, is by far the superior talent at this stage in Fournette's career. He was just a man among boys last year running the football. And he had more than that last year. He had over 1,000 yards rushing last year, and that's with Damian Harris around for 11 games. So I think this is a pretty clear over. So I have to really like the pick to take the over, and I love this one.
Good deal. Jerry.
Oh, sorry, the higher, not the over.
Higher. Take some getting used to. Jerry, what you got for this one?
Assuming Gerson's going higher, I think it's going to be a clean sweep. I'm going higher too. He's one of my he's one of my favorite running backs this year. I love drafting him in Dynasty. Love drafting him. I haven't had any redrafts yet, but I'm going to be targeting him. The news of vets coming in and them being interested, and the Vegas odds saying people are going to be signing there, it doesn't scare me. Ramondre is really talented. He's the best. He might be the best offensive player on that team overall. So I'm taking the higher on him.
All right, Gerson. I'm assuming you're going to go higher, but go ahead and give us your love for Mr. Ramondre Stevenson.
I mean, he is the best offensive player on that offense, even over the quarterback. But I agree with all you guys, man. Everything you guys said, Ramondre. And here's a hot take, and just a hot take, okay, guys? Ramondre will have more rushing yards than Jonathan Taylor this year.
Ooh, that's spicy.
That's how high on him. I have Ramondre projected right now for 1,327 yards.
Okay.
That's just projection, that's a median range. But I love Ramondre Stevenson. Of course, it all depends, because if Dalvin Cook comes in, that's going to freaking hurt, And I hope it doesn't happen, though. But I love Ramondre. I know Bill Belichick, don't draft a running back. This is the running back you want to be drafting.
Yeah, I like it. And this was an easy one for me. I was definitely higher in this one as well. I mean, I saw that number like 925. I mean, like you said, Drew, he had 1,000 yards last year, and he wouldn't even have started at the beginning of the season. So I mean, I can't imagine that he doesn't get that this year. Barring injury, I think he's going to crush that number. So this is definitely a hire for me. All right, we'll close this last one out here with what they call the rivalry, where you basically put two players against each other. Sometimes they have a handicap to one side or the other. This one does not. This one is a straight up rushing touchdowns for either Saquon Barkley versus Tony Pollard. They haven't updated it because I did this prop bet before Barkley signed. They haven't changed the line at all so far, so this is still a good one. So rushing touchdowns, Barkley or Pollard, and Jerry, this time you go first.
Yeah, I'm taking Barkley. I'm not high on Tony Pollard at all. He's not really built to be a full-time back. I really, not that I've avoided him, I just really haven't drafted him at all, so I guess I avoided him. I just think that if this was total touchdowns, I might lean Pollard. I think he'd get a little bit more through the air, even though we've seen Barkley do that as well. But I just think Barkley, he's basically gonna be that Giants offense where we already talked about Dak and the receivers that they got in Dallas, and Pollard's gonna get some. I think his line was 7.5. They're both 7.5. I don't even know if I would take Pollard to hit that 7.5, and I would definitely feel comfortable taking Barkley hitting more than 7.5.
All right, I like it. Drew, what you got here? You got Tony Pollard here. He's probably one of your rivals that you don't want to see do well, and Barkley as well, for that matter. What you got?
Yeah, I should abstain as an Eagles fan from both these teams, but I have to pick one here. So I think the case for Pollard would be that we talked before about how Dak is not as much of a threat to run. So I don't see him calling his own number inside the red zone as often, which would be good for Pollard. But I'm concerned that whether it's Malik Davis or somebody they bring in, that they might bring in somebody who is a short yardage specialist. It could be a Fournette or somebody like that to take some of that off of Pollard's plate and allow him to continue to be so effective, in between the 20s and everything else. So Pollard's. I really like him. I think he's a special player. But I think this is all Barkley for me. I really do. He's got a massive chip on his shoulder. I talked about that with Diggs. I see it here with Barkley also. The second I heard that he signed, I'm like, well, he's going to go right back up to my RB2. And that's where I had him before all the holdout stuff. I'm going to put him right back up there. I think he's as good of a bet to finish as an RB1 for somebody not named Christian McCaffrey as anyone. So, and I think he's built for this literally in that kind of a role as well.
Good stuff. Gerst, I'm going to sweep it. You go on Barkley or Pollard here for rushing touchdowns?
Hold on, I want to correct myself on the shot. I said 35 receptions for Ramondre Stevenson. I meant 65. My number was too low. No, 65 receptions for Ramondre. This one was when I looked at this, it was actually, I thought it was a very easy take, but it was a little harder than I thought because honestly, when I looked at it, Barkley didn't have that contract.
Yeah.
So there seems like sometimes we have to think we might take advantage of. It's situations like this where you can go do the over/under prop money, put your money on the line since we can't say the other thing. But I think I'm gonna go with Pollard, man. I just think they paid him a franchise tag. Even though I don't think he's worth a franchise tag money. He's a good running back, but he's a little older than people think. And the other thing is, the Dallas Cowboys, they're going to play defense, and they're going to run the ball. People are going to be very surprised how conservative they are. They're going to be like the 49ers, play defense and run the ball. They're going to try to hide Dak Prescott from his Bacon career, turnovers. But I think I got Pollard, man. I understand that Barkley is probably the main weapon there, but Pollard he's very efficient when he gets the ball. While I do think Pollard's also a guy that can't handle the whole work volume, but they're going to find a way to, balance it out.
Yeah, I like it. I think I would go Barkley as well. But I can see the case for Pollard. I think that offense will be better than the Giants' offense will be. So I do think there's the opportunity to score more in that case. But Barkley is just a talent that's just sort of transcends. And I think as long as he can stay healthy, I think it's going Barkley. So we'll take Barkley here for rushing touchdowns. Let me go ahead and drop my $5 on here. And I say it every show. If I lose this bet, none of y'all are invited back on the show.
hey, Prescott's not on me, man.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Staying an Eagle fan.
All right, let's close that out there, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the NFC East draft.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
Ooh.
All right, if y'all missed the first half of the show, we're going to be doing the NFC East mock draft. It is a super flex draft, and we can draft only players from the NFC East. And Drew, as the resident Eagles fan here, you got the 101.
All right. Well, I'm inspired by Jerry, who hit a nice homer pick with Josh Allen. So, actually, in a super flex format, Jalen Hurts is my 101. He's a double-digit touchdown guy. He's threat to run for 700, 800 plus yards on the ground. We saw what he could do as a passer last year, and I feel like we're just getting kind of warmed up in that area. So, I think Jalen Hurts to me is a no-brainer right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the NFL did not change the rule, as far as I know, that they can't do that.
They did not.
Put that butt push or whatever they call it. So
the tush push.
Yes. The tush push. There you go.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, Jerry, you're here at the 102.
Yeah, unlike the AFC East, I'm a little bit more comfortable with either of the other three quarterbacks falling to me. So I'm going to go and not take a quarterback here and take Saquon Barkley. I think he's the best running back in the division. Could be, as Drew said, he could be the number one running back, not named Christian McCaffrey, and I agree with that. I'm going with Saquon Barkley. He's got a lot to prove. He's on that 1-year deal, looking for another contract, trying to do it for all the running backs, and I think he's got a lot left in the tank.
All right, good stuff. Gerson, you got the 103 here.
This is super flex. I want to go Dak Prescott, but it's tough to trust him. But I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb, man. I have to go CeeDee Lamb. I believe in the way I draft in all my dynasty leagues. I build through my wide receivers. Running back, I can find them. I can trade for them, etc. Like Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara. I can get those guys for a second, plus a little upgrade somewhere else. But I understand the whole Dak Prescott probably over CeeDee Lamb, but people don't realize that Dak Prescott is 30 years old. And he's basically one bad season away from Jerry Jones saying, you know what? I like expensive things. And when you like nice things, they don't come cheap. So he might just go be crazy and go trade for another quarterback, But it's hard. That was a hard one for me. But I'm going CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to go the safe route.
Yeah, you made my choice easy because I already crossed off Dak when you started talking about Dak, and you went CeeDee Lamb. So I will take Dak here at the 104 because it is super flex. Quarterbacks are better than the other division, but I do think there's a pretty good teardrop from Dak down to Danny Dimes. So I'll take Dak here at the 104 and be happy about it. Drew, back to you at the 105.
All right. Well, I was fortunate enough to interview him when I went out for the Super Bowl. And I got to take my guy here, AJ Brown. He's one of the most effective receivers in the league last year on goal routes. He's just a beast. We saw what he can do with in a great offense and a great system. And plus, you get to have the stack with Hurts, which is kind of nice. So to me, he was my top receiver on the board. As much as I like Lamb, I have AJ Brown just slightly ahead of him. So that's my pick.
Yeah, good stuff. And this stack is definitely a good stack to have. That's for sure. Jerry, you're here at the 106.
I kind of figured AJ Brown wasn't going to make it back to me. So I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin here. Take wide receiver 1 in Washington. I like him a lot. I mean, you can argue that Jahan Dotson it is a nice 1-2 punch, but you could argue that Jahan Dotson is going to also take a lot away from him. But I think Terry McLaurin is just too talented.
Yeah, it's crazy. I forget what I was on a podcast. I don't know if it was my podcast, another podcast, but we were talking about Terry McLaurin. Oh, I know what it was. It was the Front Yard Fantasy game show where they do trivia questions. And McLaurin came up as a comparison to another guy over yards. And I took, the other guy over Terry McLaurin. McLaurin actually had a really good season for yards. He had like 1,200 yards. He just slid under the radar. He didn't score any touchdowns, and I just did not see that coming. But McLaurin has done very well with some bad quarterbacking over his career, so that's a good choice there. He's one of those guys that just produces no matter who's his quarterback. Gerson, you get the 107 here.
Well, I'm pretty shocked. I mean, this is Superflex League. As much as we hate on the guy, Danny Dime, man, it's a pretty easy choice here. Superflex League, the guy got weapons now. Apparently, the whole world thinks Dan Waller is like the wide receiver one all of a sudden for that team, which he is, but I'm not that high on Dan Waller this year. A lot of people are. I think he's 30 years old. He's kind of been injury prone the last 2 years. As a Raiders fan, I'm not trying to talk shit on him. I'm just saying you guys overpaid for him. You paid for the contract. You gave us draft competition. Thank you for taking it off our book. We just drafted Michael Mayer. I'm happy. But Danny Dimes rushing upside along with the upgrade that the wide receiver position. Now they went from having 2 slot wide receivers to having 35 of them. So congratulations to him. But yeah, Danny Dimes.
All right, good stuff. So let's see what I got. I got Dak with my last pick here. So let me just this is kind of a stack too. I think he's going to catch plenty of receiving touchdowns. So I'll take Tony Pollard here and have the Dak Pollard stack. It's, one of those rare quarterback to running back type stacks, and I think he can definitely be that guy. So we talked about Pollard earlier, potentially even scoring those rushing touchdowns over what Saquon Barkley can do. I think Pollard has the same kind of ability as Barkley, not quite as explosive, but I think he still has the ability to catch passes and rush the ball. So easy pick here for me at the 108. Drew, 109.
I wasn't ready to take Pollard there. That's a phenomenal pick. It's a great value at this point. I agree with everything you said there. But I'm gonna stick with the whole Eagles theme here. Now that you took Pollard away from me, so
Of course
I'm
you
gonna
would.
go. Well, my next 2 players on my board. I know I had to choose between 2 Eagles, but I'm gonna take Devonta Smith.
Yes.
I'll tell you, as much as I love AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, his first year on the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is a franchise that's been around for 90 years, set the record for the most receptions in a season by a rookie wide receiver, and followed that up the next year as his sophomore year last year with the most receptions by a wide receiver at any stage of his career. So he holds the franchise record for most receptions in a season by a wide receiver, and he just finished his 2nd year in the league. So he talk about just getting warmed up.
I was gonna say, like in a whole season or like the second year?
Season.
No, in the whole season.
No, at any receiver. So Harold Carmichael, Mike Quick, T.O., nobody.
Wow.
Irving Fryer. No one has
That
caught
is
more passes
awesome.
in a
I didn't even
season.
know that. That's an awesome
Yeah.
stat. Thanks, man.
So,
man.
So I think, and there's a non-zero chance, actually a fairly decent chance that he could end up being just as productive as AJ Brown.
I was just
I agree with that.
So yeah, a lot of people think that his ADP is too high, and I don't. I think it's right where it should be. So I'm happy to take him here.
Yeah, there's some scuttlebutt that he could be the number 1 there that over AJ Brown, because he's progressed so much over the first couple of years that there's a chance that he can end up being the number 1 in that offense. So great pick and great value for sure. Jerry, you got the 110.
Yeah, at my last pick, when I was between Terry McLaurin and Devonta Smith, I did not think that Devonta Smith was going to get back to me, and he didn't. So I'm going to go Sam Howell and not be stuck without a quarterback.
Yeah. So how do you feel about Howell just in general? Let's say this is a regular draft and Howell is your QB1. How do you feel about that?
I'm not great with him being my QB1, but I have been going after him and Ritter late in underdog drafts as maybe a QB3 in dynasties. It's not like super excited about him, but I think one of them could get it done. So hopefully I hit on one of them.
Yeah. I mentioned before I live in Washington. I'm not a fan of the team, but I get to hear all the radio stuff about them, and they they love Howell here, obviously. But I do think the offense will make it easy for him. I think Antonio Gibson is going to be a guy they're going to use quite a bit. Just those short dump off passes, those kind of things. So I think efficiency wise, he can actually be a decent quarterback. Will he put up monster numbers? I doubt it, but I think he can be serviceable. Like you mentioned, a QB2, QB3 in a super flex league for sure. I think I'm comfortable taking him there.
And he's undefeated in his career too.
Yeah. All right, Gerson, you got the 111 here.
Oh man. It kind of falls off, huh?
Couple good names still on the board.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple good names, but I think for dynasty wise, I'm gonna go Jahan Dawson. I love Jahan Dawson. I've been drafting him everywhere. I've been drafting him in best balls. I mean, the guy was killing it until he got hurt, and then he still had 11 touchdowns last year, 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think he broke a rookie record for the.
Yeah, a rookie record.
I think.
I mean, Jahan Dawson out of Penn State. I was high on him. I did. I mean, I believe they traded up for him, right?
They did.
They traded up for him. I mean, draft capital matters. He proved it out there when he was healthy, and now we're in the second season. The only thing that sucks about this is that there's a quarterback that we'll name probably later on that's going to be, he was already taken, Sam Howell.
Yeah.
You know, it just sucks. Like, Jahan Dawson, Sam Howell. Like, I like Sam Howell, but I'm just hoping for the best, man. Like, I have him in Ryan's league. Hey, Ryan, shout out to your league. I won the championship. Yeah, I know, but I won. But yeah, Sam Howell throwing to him. Hopefully it works out for the best. But the fact that he went out there and got, was it 11 or 10? I can't remember. 11 or 10, one of the two.
Yeah, he definitely.
And killed it.
Yeah, he definitely did. He, like I said, I think he broke a rookie record for touchdowns.
It was more than one.
Yeah, I'll say too, Dawson. I like him a lot. I'm very high on him. So he had, I think it was the last 5 games of the season, he had a 20% plus snap share, or excuse me, target share. And every single one of those games, Terry McLaurin did not. There was 2 games in that 5-game stretch where he was below 20%, and that's with 3 different quarterbacks starting. So that tells me that he's a focus of the system and not just the apple of the quarterback's eye. So I'm really interested to see how it goes. I could definitely see Dotson ending up as the wide receiver 1 over McLaurin, and I don't mean that as disrespect to Terry McLaurin. I think he's a phenomenal wide receiver. I just think Dotson's kind of got that dog in him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I was going to bring up the same point you did there, that he had 3 not great quarterbacks last year, and Sam Howell is at least as good as those guys. Hopefully he's better, but he's at least as good as those 3 guys. So I agree. All right, I got the back-to-back here, the 112 and the 201. I'm going to take a guy that's, I think he's going later in ADP than his teammate at the same position. But in this offense, I like him more because he's the receiving back in this offense. That's Mr. Antonio Gibson. I think Brian Robinson's being drafted higher. I'm personally taking Gibson over Brian Robinson in all of my leagues. I think that the offensive coordinator finds a way to sort of make him into a, to more the McKissick role that we had 2 years ago, where he caught like almost 100 balls, I think, in that season. And I think Gibson, as long as he can stay healthy, at least from a standpoint of fantasy, can outscore Brian Robinson.
He got hyped up.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's hype. I think it's real. He was a wide receiver in college, and he could legit be like a mini Darren Sproles in that Eric Bieniemy offense.
Yep, and they've actually even talked about putting him out in the slot more often than they have in the past as well, where he can actually fill that slot role.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, so the 201, I'm going to take the positional scarcity here, and the only really good tight end in this division, of course, we mentioned Darren Waller. I'm a little scared about his injury history. I'll take Dallas Goedert, in that powerful offense there, and Jalen Hurts, likes to look his way quite often. He's a good red zone threat as well, so I'll take Dallas Goedert at the 201. Gerson, you get the 202.
I mean, kind of snipe me, but I guess don't make me do it. Don't make me draft a guy I talk shit on. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to go that way. I'm actually going to go with, and this might be a little bit of a hot take. I'm going to go with the best running back on the Eagles. I'm going to go for upside. It's not DeAndre Swift. It's Rashad Penny.
Ooh, spicy.
I understand they traded for DeAndre Swift, but if you really look at the contract of his and like the draft compensation, like it was like basically like a free pick that they could have just gave up. And I believe DeAndre Swift, he's a good running back, but his awareness is not as great as people make it sound. His hands is awesome, but Rashad Penny, if you look at his efficiency as a Russian running back, it's great. Every single time he's out on the field and he's healthy, he's been a great running back. Healthy is the key.
Yeah.
But I'm going for upside. I'm going to go for Rashad Penny. It kind of sucks because I see Darren Waller. I see you, bro, but I can't draft you when I just talk shit on you, dude. I'm sorry, dude. But I'm going to go with Rashad Penny. I've had Rashad Penny in a lot of leagues. I've even traded for Rashad Penny. I'm putting my my pennies on the line here, man.
I like it. And you're right. I think I don't have the stat in front of me, but there was somebody on Twitter that posted a really good thread about Rashad Penny, and the metrics he used actually showed Penny as the most efficient running back last year when healthy. Obviously, that's the caveat, when healthy. If he can stay healthy and keep that efficiency level, he's definitely gonna have a breakout season, and Eagles fans will be happy, and they won't miss.
Great offensive line too. One of the best offensive line in the league.
Yeah,
I believe they were ranked number 1 in PFF. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they were a couple years in a row, I think.
Yep, the one
All
again.
Right, Jerry.
Yep.
You got the 203 here, Jerry.
Well, on the way to flying out to Gerson, Rashad Penny got hurt, so I'm going to take the real RB1, and that's DeAndre Swift.
Just like Tony, he got hurt.
You covered on a lot of things there, and I was going to just bring up the offensive line too. This is probably the best offensive line that Swift has played with. You got Hall of Famer Jason Kelsey, you got Lane Johnson on the left side. I think any one of those 3 running backs, and because Jamie mentioned Gainwell too, who I have a little bit of a hope for too. I got him in a dynasty league, but I think whoever is back there, it could just be a 3-headed monster, but I think it's going to be I think you're going to get some good production in various weeks, maybe more best ball. You might want to look at them in best ball, but overall, I think it's going to be a nice 1-2-3 punch.
All right, Drew. So it's gone Goddard, Rashad Penny, and then DeAndre Swift. We just took all your Eagles here, so now you're on the clock. Who you got?
Yeah, you did. I was going to take the DeAndre Swift there out of spite there. After that is you're talking. I think Swift is an electric player. I agree. He has been tentative at times, and but I think that when you have veterans in that locker room, and then off on the field like Kelsey, like Mailata, like Lane Johnson, they're just going to tell him, "Hey, man, just trust it," And I just kind of wish Deuce Staley was still there in that position, because he really helped Miles Sanders go from being timid and tentative to being, a legit, first-class NFL running back. Man, if Deuce Staley was able to work with Swift and that behind that offensive line, wow, the sky will be the limit. So I think Swift is. I still think Swift's going to have a nice season there. But now that you've taken all my Eagles, I'm going to I'm going to take the tight end that apparently nobody wants, and that's Darren Waller, who to me is a clear tier ahead of anyone that's left at the position. So Waller is getting up there in age. He's definitely injury prone. So we can't sit there. I mean, we're going to beat the drum for Rashad Penny, who's injury prone. I think we got to make sure that we're doing the same thing for Darren Waller here. I think it's a good value pick.
Yeah, the upside is definitely there if he can stay healthy.
Yep.
I mean, he's been a beast. He's been one of those top 3 tight ends through the course of his career. Once he got to Oakland at the time and then Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm up here at the 205, and there's a lot of high upside guys, but guys that have a lot of question marks. So I'm gonna take the guy that's been very consistent in his entire career. He had a down season last year, got injured, but he's had multiple 1,000-yard seasons in a row. He goes to a good this year as the receiver 2 on that team, Mr. Brandon Cooks.
Undervalued.
Yeah, definitely a value at this point. And, people want to put the injury-prone tag on him, but if you actually go look at his game logs, he's not as injury-prone as you think he is. He played quite a few of those games. He had the concussions that kind of scared people away, but other than that, the guy's been healthy and he produces everywhere he's been. He's been on 3 or 4 or 5 different teams and produced everywhere he's been. So I'll take Cooks here at the 205.
I just want to say this: like every podcast, every show, whatever I watch, people always talk up Tyler Lockett. Why don't anybody ever talk up Brandon Cooks? How consistent he is, how cheap he is. I think you can get Brandon Cooks cheaper than Tyler Lockett. I love that call, Jeff. You know
what's funny with players sometimes when they change teams a lot, we almost devalue them in our head, even if they're still producing wherever they go. It's like almost like a thing where they traded him away. He must.
They went to the Patriots.
Yeah, he went from the Saints to the Patriots to the Rams to Houston, and we almost devalue him in our head because of that. But he's produced wherever he's gone. So, All right, Gerson, you got the 206 here.
Again, I love how every single time it always falls off the cliff. I'm the guy that's the cliff.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude. Oof. I think I'm gonna go, and this is just based on camp hype. I'm gonna go with Paris Campbell. I like Paris Campbell. He has a great speed. I understand that they have 35 slot wide receivers, but I think Paris Campbell, the way he stood out in just like off season and everything I'm hearing, and I've always had like kind of like a Paris Campbell crush. Like I always drafted him late, and whatnot. But I can see other positions, but I'm just gonna take a gamble on him. Honestly, there's only Darren Waller, Paris Campbell, and I know that people love Jalen Hyatt. I am not a Jalen Hyatt guy. I will, you know what? I replaced the guy that loved Jalen Hyatt today on the show, and I'm gonna tell him Jalen Hyatt is not good. He sucks. In the NFL, he's gonna get shut down. It's just his system that happened in college. Guess what, buddy? You're not in college no more. It's just like what's his name? What was that Patriot coach? Bill O'Brien, the the wide receiver from LSU. He said, "You're not at LSU no more." Keyshawn Boutte.
Yeah.
He said, "You're not at LSU no more. Get lined up." Well, welcome to the NFL, Jalen Hyatt.
All right, great pick there. And I knew Jamie would love that pick there. He loves to give me shit about Paris Campbell because I'm out on Paris Campbell, but Jamie likes him, so he mentioned in the chat there. All right, Jerry, 207 here. It's getting ugly.
Yeah, well, I was going to save this for my last pick, and I know there's a better wide receiver out on the board now, but I got to go a little homer here. Isaiah Hodgins. I'm kind of mad that the Giants poached him from the Bills. He has a little bit of connection with Daniel Jones. We saw a couple good games last year. Outside of Darren Waller, he's the tallest wide receiver in the system there for him. So nice big red zone target. Yeah, Isaiah Hodgins. I think that. I mean, absolutely nobody's talking about him. Obviously, I mean, Paris Campbell just went before him here, and he's like basically free in all your drafts, and he's definitely a best ball play at best,
Absolutely.
or not at best, but a best ball play. And I would take him like the last round of your redrafts this year.
If I'm not mistaken, he was their leading receiver last year.
Yeah. Shout out to him because he won me a lot of money in DFS.
Yeah.
So shout out to him.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Drew, you're here at the 208.
All right, so while you're all fighting over Giants wide receivers, I'm going to go ahead and take the guy who might just end up being the running back one on those Washington Commanders. That's Brian Robinson. I know we all want Antonio Gibson to be a thing, but it's quite clear that Riverboat Ron wants Brian Robinson to be a thing. So I just I think if we're talking about Sam Howell being the best quarterback that's coming to the Commanders in years, sadly, that somehow lists the profile of that offense. I don't know that Brian Robinson is a guy that we can completely discount, especially I'm looking at what's left on the board for running backs, and it's really kind of a bare cupboard here. He's the only guy I think of any significance that has any kind of value whatsoever. So we're looking at scraping the barrel, and he's the last big pretzel nugget left in there. So
yeah, that's a great.
I'm not laughing at you. The reason why I'm laughing is because the last 2 weeks that I've been a host or a guest on this show or whatever, I love how the fact that you guys talk shit on other teams as fans of the Eagles, the Bills, and all this and all this. No, so as a Raider fan, I wasn't even invited to that show, but it's cool. it is what it is. But I'm like, dude, like everybody gonna be like, why? Oh, he loved Brian Robinson. He's an Eagles fan. Why? You know? But like it just the way he hyped up Brian Robinson was almost as like you were his mom. You know? But mad prop, bro.
Yeah,
you can't.
Good.
I was just say you have to divorce yourself from your fan when it comes to fantasy. If you want to be successful in this game, you can't be a straight homer. So I hope that you can make a case that I took 3 Eagles off the bat, but makes me a homer. But I think right now, frankly, they're the best team in this division, and they are so deep that
I agree with you.
Overvalue it. But yeah, that's fair. But yeah, definitely, I think that's something that a lot of players we can get lost in that sometimes, and it's easy to kind of fade players on teams we don't care for and hype up the players of the teams we do care for. So that's a good thing to look out for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, you definitely sniped me because I was like, how is he still on the board? Because I almost took him when I took my Antonio Gibson pick a couple picks back. I was like, man, they're just going to pass by Brian Robinson. But of course, Drew didn't miss him. He saw him there. So I got to pivot, and I'm going to go with the guy that I took, I think, with my second to last pick in the Scott Fish Bowl. Because we mentioned Rashad Penny and his injury history. We know DeAndre Swift, his injury history. Mr. Kenny Gainwell seems to always hang around. You know, he had a really good playoff run last year. He's the guy that's been in the system. He knows the system, you know, frontwards and backwards. There's a chance that, you know, if those other two guys get injured, that he is the guy there. And, you know, at this point in the draft, he's the one with the highest upside. So give me Kenny Gainwell here at the 209. Gerson, get your last pick here at the 210.
Well, you kind of sniped me because I wanted to go Kenny Gainwell. I was gonna say I'm just gonna back up my Rashad Penny because I don't like DeAndre Swift. I'm going, you know, but you sniped me for sure. Just kind of it gets a little rough, right? Well, again, we're going back to the Dallas Cowboys, but which tight end do you want, right? Everything I've been hearing is Jake Ferguson. It's his tight end role. He's the tight end there. Luke Schoonmaker, I don't know why they drafted him so high because he wasn't a very good pass catching tight end. I don't think he's all that great. I watched film on him. It didn't impress me. Like, I was just like, why? And the fact that they went that high draft capital, it doesn't matter to me because I do believe in draft capital, but then sometimes when you see the talent, you're like, why? You know?
Yeah.
But maybe it's kind of rare for the Cowboys to make a desperate move in the draft because they're very good at drafting. I think there was a ranking that came out, I think it was last year, last time I saw it. They were like top 3 in the best draft, like ranking. But I got Jake Ferguson. I think he's going to be the tight end there. There's nothing else on the board.
Yeah.
That's the way I put it.
Yeah, you're really just flipping a coin there between those two tight ends and figure out which one is which. But I think I would take the one that's the veteran because we know rookie tight ends don't always pan out. So I like going Ferguson there. Jerry, your last pick, the 211. What you got?
All right. I'm gonna need to know if I messed up my typing on my list. I know I have been having a little bit of connection issues, and he's not some stud, but it's hard to believe that he hasn't been drafted. Is Michael Gallup still there?
He is still there. Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to take Michael Gallup then. We talked about Dak Prescott possibly going over 26.5 touchdowns. I mentioned they could have 3 1K receivers with Lamb, Gallup, and Brandon Cooks. He's a year removed from his ACL injury. He was kind of off last year, but we have seen this man get it done on the field. And he's definitely a nice value pick late in drafts. And obviously he's going under the radar because I got him here at the 23rd overall pick in an NFC East only draft.
Yeah, that's a great value. You're right. I mean, he has that upside for sure. We've seen it a couple of years ago. He was healthy. He was good. So people kind of forgot about him. I like it. All right, Drew, close us out here. You got the last pick here.
All right. Well, I was going to take Ferguson. But then Gerson went and took him, and then I was like, Michael Gallup's still sitting there, so so that leaves me with no choice but to stir the pot, and I'm going to take Hyatt.
There you go.
So I thought I really like Wandale a lot, but I do worry about him coming off of the ACL. I think Hyatt was successful in college, and a lot of it had to do with Hendon Hooker's mobility, ability to set a place. But guess what? Daniel Jones is also mobile. He could also get out there, draw in some D-backs, and then leave Hyatt wide open for some big plays. So I think Hyatt's a guy I like a lot more in Dynasty and in DFS.
I love him in DFS. I love him in DFS.
Yeah, so he'll look at a nice cheap dart throw in DFS for sure. So, but I think he's an exciting player. He's super electric, and I think give him some time. And there's no real standout guy in that wide receiver core, with the possible exception of Paris Campbell, who I'm also kind of high on. But there's definitely a path for him to fantasy relevance right off the bat.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. It's a good.
All right, Jeff. You should let everybody know why you invited me to the show and why you kicked Ryan off.
Why is that?
The thing where Ryan was going to draft Jalen Hyatt in the first round. That's the truth. Okay. That's the truth. That's how high he is on him.
Yeah, Ryan does love Jalen Hyatt, that's for sure. I don't know if he's quite that high, but yeah, Ryan's a big fan of Jalen Hyatt. I like Hyatt as well, not quite as much as Ryan. I don't hate him like Gerson hates him. I'm kind of in the middle there. I think the opportunity is there for sure, and I think that's the key is opportunity. If he went to a team that had receivers that were definitely in position, like he went to the Eagles, for example, he'd be lost in that Eagles offense. But in the Giants offense, it's wide open. I mean, Jerry could probably go out there and try out and potentially get a starting job with the Giants. But yeah, great call for that last pick there. All right, guys, that wraps the show up. We'll go around the room real quick. Give us your Twitter handle, and if you're working on anything that you want to plug real quick, go ahead and do that. And we'll go to you first, Drew.
Yeah, I'm Drew Delaware on Twitter. We're going to be doing a lot of cool things on Reddit this year too. So stay tuned for that. So we do a lot of traffic on Reddit, and we're appreciative of our fans over there and our readers. So, we're what we saw and Sit Start will be featured, of course, as always throughout the season for us. And as I mentioned before, we're hiring writers. So just had started my first interviews today. So check us out at the QB List, TheQBList, and check out that tweet that I put out just moments, actually yesterday, I think it was. So go ahead and check that out and come work for us.
Good stuff. All right, Jerry, what you got going on?
Jerry at Jerry Wilkie FM on Twitter. You could also find me on Facebook, just my name. I am working on like I said earlier in the show, the fantasy assessment where we just break down your teams. We're taking entries right now. Jeff, hit you up at the Discord. You can find me and my partner there in the Discord, and you can send your rosters to us. Let us know your settings, and we'll break down your rosters. And then in season on Saturday nights, the IDP show, where we'll just talk about some IDP guys that you could be looking forward to on Sundays and getting into Monday and looking forward to the following weeks.
Good stuff. Gerson?
I'll give a shout out to Jerry. It's hard to find IDP content. I have 3 podcasts, and Jeff knows this. I listen to podcasts at least 8 hours of my life. But I always try to listen to the Going for Two family. But I shout out to you, man. It's hard to find IDP content. Just keep spitting that stuff out. You can find me at Fantasy DFS on Twitter. I try to be active. I'm not the best active guy on there, but on the Facebook show, at Facebook, the DFS Roundtable show, DFS Roundtable. Armchair it's AFCES on Facebook. So just find it. You can find me on the Friday show every week for Jeff? It's 16 weeks at least.
16 weeks, yep.
16 weeks. The Armchair Fantasy Show. Every Friday. We have a blast. I can't wait, dude. I get goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps right now, man. It's getting so close. I just my ringtone right now. I honestly I went and downloaded the Red Zone ringtone. When you go into get into Red Zone, I downloaded it and I'm that's gonna be my ringtone, And then when someone's "What is that?" I'm that's life coming at you very quick, That's the way I put it, man. But yeah, you can find me on there with Tim and Jeff every Friday. But hey, Jeff, thanks for having me. I'm gonna go have back surgery from carrying Ryan for the last 2 weeks.
All right. Thanks, guys, all 3 of you, for coming on the show. Thanks, Gerson, for hosting 2 weeks in a row. Ryan will be back next week. Jerry's, showing his Bills love down there, and we got the Eagles love down there from Drew. Jerry mentioned the Discord, guys. You can find the Discord link in my profile. You can also find it at goingfor2.com. In the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little Discord link. We have over 1,000 members in there. It's a very active Discord. We got some great things going on. So if you're not already in there, go join that. And Gerson, you mentioned you listen to 8 hours of podcasts. I don't think you got anything on Jamie. I picture Jamie sitting in front of 5 TVs at once watching all these podcasts, because he seems to be in the chat in every podcast I've ever watched. It's kind of crazy how much Jamie's in the chat.
Other people have their TV set up for football games. He's got his TV set up for podcasts.
Podcast, exactly. He's got the red zone of podcasts. He just tunes into the clips. I love it. All right, guys. For Gerson, for Drew, for Jerry, I'm Jeff. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace. Oh.